We are live. All right.
Hey,
Hello. I don't even think anybody's here yet. TT, I see him. He
I think
stopped in at least.
it's been a rough Monday for everybody, I think.
I really think you are absolutely right on that. I'm kind of vain. I bring it up on my phone too, so I can watch myself. No, I like to be able to keep count. I'm lying. I like to watch myself. So welcome to Sport. Okay, that's Macy. No, I like to be able to keep count. Yeah, that's me. Welcome to the Monday night Winds of Winter prediction. Yeah, TT, thank you for being here. Prediction stream. My name is Scott. This is the stream of spring. That's what we're calling it. And yes, I listed this as the Great Northern Conspiracy, even though I've always heard it as the Grand Northern Conspiracy, but it's listed a lot of places I looked as the Great Northern Conspiracy. So I don't know what you said backstage. You've always heard it as grand too, though, right?
I've always heard it as grand, and I like it more. It sounds more grand.
It does, doesn't it? Like the great, yeah, that's awesome. But a grand just means it just seems so big,
Far-reaching.
Far-reaching.
Yeah.
Which, if this conspiracy is true, it is.
I believe it is.
I mean, you go to the Riverlands, the Neck. You could even go maybe towards the Erie because maybe Sansa's not involved, but Littlefinger has his fingers in everything.
Right.
I don't think I've actually seen a connection, but I wouldn't doubt him knowing of something.
Mm-hmm.
You have all the way up in White Harbor to where the Umbers Castle is, almost the most northern.
The most northern, yeah.
Yeah. What is that? What is theirs called? Hearthome? No. No, that's not Hearthome. What is their castle called?
We need a map.
Last Hearth?
I think so.
I need a map.
Yes, Last Hearth.
Okay. Hearth. Last Hearth.
That's it.
And that's a cool name. Bear Island. You go all the way out there. So there's a lot of people involved in this. So hey, Tina, hello. How are you? Happy Monday, my friend. Is it really happy? I don't know. And as you can tell, I have upgraded my StreamYards thanks to Culture Casino. Donated the other night to my PayPal account, which I'll throw in the link later. He donated because he was sick and tired of me not being able to have more than 6 people on. I'll take it. I'll take it. But Tina, we're talking about the grand, even though I put grand conspiracy, which we're gonna probably have to start a little meta, go a little farther back. And I mean, really, you have to go way back, Jayne. The way I look at it, to proto Stark. The North was a wild west of all petty lords.
Right.
You had the Boltons. There's some very ancient families, the Starks, the Boltons, the Mormonts, I believe, the Umbers.
The Umbers especially
yes.
would get into it with the Starks.
Yeah,
I think they fought for thousands of years. Yeah.
Yeah. The Boltons and the Umbers fought for control for thousands of years. You're absolutely right. And I believe that it was an equally matched history of war.
Right.
But it wasn't until the Starks beat the Warg King, killed his sons, took his women, his daughters to bed, and they were able to get that warging gene, that first man warging gene into their lineage. And that not all first men have that ability. Yes, there are different, we know Varamir Six skins and other people above the wall, but you look at the Starks, they're the only ones we know of with that capability. The Boltons in the history used to, when they beat a Stark lord or lord's son, they would skin him and wear his skin to try to get that power. So I believe that's what gave them the North, being able to warg direwolves, warg other animals, and to help them conquer. And that's
a major advantage for sure.
Right. And I mean, that's how they got their sigil. So once they tamed the North, still for probably another 1,000 years, Boltons tried their hand. Like when the Ironborn would attack the North, the Boltons would take, opportunity to try to seize power.
Right.
It wasn't prior to Aegon it was probably a few thousand years where the Starks had solid control of the North. I don't know if I would say 8,000 years, but I would say probably 4,000 to 5,000 years.
Mm.
That's a long freaking time. Could it even be shorter than that? I don't know.
I think it was around maybe 3,000 or 4,000, something like that.
3 or 4.
Uninterrupted. Yeah.
I mean, uninterrupted. Exactly. So even if let's just say let's play safe and say 2,000 years prior to Aegon's conquest. That is a long time. That is like longer than like almost triple the Roman dynasty. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
not many dynasties in the world last. You know, maybe the Chinese emperor, you know, but even then the dynasties changed names. It was just the position that didn't change. So that's a really long time to control it. And they brought peace to the North. They brought a style of rule to the North. And they pretty much kept that on even after Aegon's conquest. So the idea of there should always be a Stark in Winterfell could deal with the White Walkers, which I would believe, but probably also falls in line with the idea that there's always been a Stark. They've been around forever.
Mm-hmm.
How the hell, you know, how would we rule the North without them? I don't know.
And
what
also,
do you have any idea?
They've also ruled incredibly well. I mean, I think that's a big part of it. It wasn't just that they were simply in charge as kings and ruling everyone, but they did so in a very honorable way. They established themselves as caring about their bannermen, caring about those families. They fought for them. They defended them. It's rumored that they were responsible for the wall being built to protect them, to protect the entire region. So these are people who earned respect over this time period. They didn't just rule, you know, the way the Boltons would have ruled, or the way even the Umbers would have ruled. They ruled with integrity, and they believed in their countrymen and their values. And in many ways, I think Ned is a reflection of that. And it's one of the cornerstones as to why the North is able or would be capable of uniting around the Stark legacy. Right. Because they've proven themselves generation after generation.
Right. I mean, you know, the last king of the North bent the knee to Aegon. And I'm blanking on his name right now, if you can remember. I'm blanking on it. But I keep wanting to say Rickon, but that was Ned's father. But from then on, you're right. They kept ruling the North the same way. They always, and you see it from maybe not Ned's point of view, but from his kid's point of view, how Ned ruled, Robb tried to emulate. How Ned ruled Bran when he was the Lord of Winterfell, while Robb was gone, he tried to emulate. Ned would go every year and visit his band. He would go into the mountain. You know, he would actually go into the mountain clans. We hear this from Jon, and show respect. You know, you have to tell them their sons are strong and their daughters are beautiful, and you will have their respect. And Ned did this, and it must have been a taught thing from his father and his father before him.
That's exactly what I was getting. I think that he reflected all of that tradition. I don't think it's something that he made up on his own. That was something that was ingrained in them. And it helped to build that respect for their name.
Right.
And also the fact that they mentioned at one point that there are a lot of people in the North who have Stark blood because they didn't marry, you know, as unlike in the South where every marriage was very strategic, you know. They married among their people. Right. And that also brings the North together because they're family.
It wasn't really until Rickon Stark, and that's another theory altogether that Barbary Dustin brings up within this Northern conspiracy, brings up the Maester conspiracy, which I kind of feel like is a part of this. But she believes that the Maester at the time talked Rickon into going on his southern, his southern campaign of marrying Starks and fostering his sons in different areas other than, Roswell or, Manderley or the Umbers,
right.
Which I think a lot of Northern lords took slight with because they're so used to the this is how the Starks do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's always the same. They'll marry a Blackwood, they'll marry a Manderley, they'll marry an Umber, but they'll never go south. And he changed everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of animosity because of that.
You can understand why.
Right. I mean, Barbary Dustin believed that she was going to marry Brandon Stark, the Ned's brother. And, because of that Southern ambition, he was going to marry Catelyn. So she holds a grudge. And I think that was maybe, if you want to go back, that's the first chink in the armor of the Starks. And it goes to Rickon Stark.
Yeah.
He was the first one. And I think Ned brought back the respect of the Starks in that idea of Northern, the North stays with the North.
Right.
But then he gets, beheaded. Robb takes up, as king, as Lord of Winterfell, and he started his own campaign to try to save his father, and then was crowned king of the North. And prior to his death at the Red Wedding, this part goes into it. He decided, they found out that Brandon and Rickon were dead. Okay.
Right.
That's what they believe. And he realized that he has no heir at the moment, and he needs some type of will to keep the Stark, kings alive. And one of his ideas was to legitimate size. I can't say it. Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Thank you. Legitimize Jon Snow. Which Catelyn was so against. And I think that also goes into this
reason. I can't stand her.
Well, no, I'll give her this. She does have a logical reason. Her reason was the Blackfire rebellions. She believed that, yes, Jon and Robb might be tight and he would never try to overthrow Robb, but his sons might get, that idea that why don't they rule? They're just as much Stark as, Ned's trueborn sons. So that was her biggest fear, I believe. And I think she brings it up at some point in there. Evening, Darren. So there's so much going on with this conspiracy. I really don't know where to start.
I know.
I'll be honest with everybody out there, because we wing it. We think of an idea. Sometimes it's like the day of today, which this one was, where we just go for it. And we don't script it like some of the great channels out there, like History of Westeros, Because Geek, the great Radio Westeros. There's so many great channels out there. Chris from Smokescreen. I could probably go on for a while, Preston and all those guys, but we just kind of go for it and start talking. So bear with us, because we usually get somewhere good. So where should we start? Should we start with Dustin Barbary, or Barbary Dustin? Should we start with the Manderleys?
Maybe start with the Manderleys, because they're the most committed for sure.
Definitely. And I think they're also the ones that give us, they give us the most, not hints. He pretty much comes out and says it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I mean, he pretty much comes out and says it. I'm actually going to find that quote, because it's one of my favorite quotes in the books. Lord Manderley.
Is this the quote about the Mummer's Force?
Yes. The North remembers. All right. So I'm going to find this quote real quick. And that's from Davos. Okay. So it's a good one. It is definitely a good one. Let's just pray my computer can handle it. I don't know if I'm breaking up already. All right. So let us screen share this so people can read along. I hope everyone's having a good night out there. Please like and share the stream. Also, if you could retweet the tweet I sent out about this one, it would definitely help. We have 6 people in here right now, and you are the 6 greatest people. Hopefully you could all just say hello in the chat and let everybody know you're there. Okay. This is not what I thought it was.
Do you see it?
We will be. Yeah, it's there. It's just my computer doesn't want to move. There we go. All right. Oh, it disappeared on me. You son of a gun. Don't worry, people. This is how we roll. Stick with me.
Hang in there.
We shall do this. We'll go to the Wayman Manderly quotes. And as we do that, how do you feel about the Manderlys? I'm sorry, the Manderlys.
Yeah, the Manderlys. I think they're fantastic. You know, obviously, I love the North and the Stark. So, the fact that they are basically repaying the Starks. I mean, we go back in time. Right. We know that the Starks took them in after they were exiled, and they're stepping up. You know, they're sticking to their oath and they're maintaining their loyalty, and doing so at great risk to themselves. But they make a very logical argument as to why.
Right. I mean, so quick history on the Manderlys.
Is no joke.
No, he isn't. And he plays off that fat oaf persona so well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everyone believes he's a coward. He's craven.
Right.
I think they even say that, you know, Barbary Dustin says that in one of the chapters in Dance. And he plays it off. He allows them to think that of him because he knows if he plays that off, you know, they'll never see him coming.
Exactly.
And I think that's one of the coolest ideas. I personally think Manderly's up there with Tywin Lannister. I think he's better than the Dornish plan. I really believe he has thought this out greatly.
I agree.
But right,
and he knows everything.
Here's
he knows
part of the
involved.
Yes, and he knows what he needs too.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, my son Wendell came to the twins as a guest. He ate Lord Walder's bread and salt and hung his sword upon the wall to feast with friends. And they murdered him. Murdered, I say, and may the phrase choke upon their fables. I drink with Jared, jab with Simon, promise Rhaegar the hand of my own beloved granddaughter, but never think that means I have forgotten. The North remembers, Lord Davos. The North remembers, and the Mummers farce is almost done. My son is home. Awesome.
Powerful.
So what he is, right. So prior to the Red Wedding, Wayman Manderly had two natural born sons. His one son died in the Whispering Woods, I believe, and his other, Wayman, got captured at the Red Wedding. Many of the lords were murdered. Many of the men were murdered, hundreds, I believe. But they took John Umber, Big John Umber. They took Manderly's son. They took certain people's houses so that because Bolton the guy's a genius.
Yeah.
Bruce Bolton he's no joke. And he knew if he had them as hostages or if they were in King's Landing as hostages, that they would keep those families on lockdown. And I'm sorry, I reversed that. One of his sons was captured in battle. The other one was killed at the Red Wedding. So now Tywin finally freed his son, or was it? Actually, it could have been pre-Tywin. It might have been Tyrion, but I forget which one did it. But one of the Lannisters freed his son. He's home. He's safe. Lord Davos goes there to ask them to fight for King Stannis, the true king. I wish he was here right now.
Right.
They play this game where, you know, they're going to execute Davos. It turns out, nope, we're not going to execute you. These people killed, they betrayed guest rights. They betrayed my family. They just betrayed the North. Roose Bolton set up everybody. Think about what he did. He always put other people in the vanguard, other houses, even because it's considered an honor. But really what he was doing was weeding these people out on either suicide missions or making sure they were the ones with the heaviest casualties.
Right.
Guy's no joke.
He's
no
smart.
joke.
He's smart. He's devious and conniving. But I think he underestimates the North.
Right.
To be a man of the North, he underestimates his people.
Right. Oh, it was blurry. Thank you, Jane. I didn't realize that. I probably won't share other things tonight. So the Manderlys let Davos in, tell Davos, look, prior to that, he's like, you go. We've gotten word that Rickon Stark is in Scavos?
Is it Stagos?
Stagos, where there's cannibals and unicorns. It's an island off the northeast of Westeros, very northeast. How did he learn that?
Yes, Skagos. I think he learned it from, was it someone who was
was it one of the Littles, the clansmen, the Littles from the mountain tribe? Because there was a Little that met Bran and his group in a cave when they were finding shelter for a night. He shared his food and fire with them, and they told him the story of what happened. And I know that guy's with Stannis, but how does Manderly know? And there was a kid, Wex, I know, but he's in Winterfell. Like, I'm trying to remember.
What I thought it was. I thought it was Wex.
Was it Wex? Oh, because maybe Wex goes with him to Winterfell. Maybe that's where I'm wrong. Wow, I really didn't plan, people. This is the best stream ever. I'm sorry, my brain isn't working at 100%.
Yeah. Okay, so it was Wex.
It was Wex.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was hiding from the Boltons in Winterfell and survived it. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so he knows that Rickon and Bran are still alive. That's huge.
That is.
I mean, that's knowledge is power. That is a lot of power.
And motivation to fight.
Yeah. I want those books, Darren. Those things are gorgeous. The artwork in them, I heard, is beautiful. The binding and everything. Sorry, I'm ADD. So Manderly tells Davos, if you can go to Scavos? I always say it wrong. Skagos. And retrieve Rickon, our lord, and probably king in his mind.
Right.
We will declare for Stannis. But until then, he's playing his game.
Yeah.
So there's 3 Freys that leave for Winterfell before him. And what he does is he gives them three horses, 3 Palfreys. And when he does that, there's a reason he does that. It's called guest gifts. So he gave them guest rights. They ate of his bread and salt.
Mm-hmm.
And when you want guest rights to end, you give them a gift. Once that happens, you are no longer held to guest rights. So that means the minute they walk out with that gift, you could slaughter them. And what happens? They disappear.
Yeah.
And Manderly plays his game. I was on the river. I don't know what happened. Blah, blah, blah. I
don't know what's going on.
He's so awesome. When he gets to Winterfell, he brings all his own provisions. Mm-hmm. And people think, oh, it's because he's fat. No, he doesn't want to accept guest rights from the Boltons.
Right.
So if they kill people in Winterfell, they can't be held to the guest rights code. Now, it might not seem it if you just read the books, but guest rights is an ancient custom.
Mm-hmm.
It's an early law without being a law, and it's more than it's a covenant, and not a covenant. It's an oath between 2 people.
Right.
And it brought some, civilization to a wild area where it was like, okay, you're going to come into my home. I'm going to give you shelter and food. You promise by doing this, you're taking an oath that you will not kill me in my sleep and take all my stuff.
Right.
And, on the flip side, you're allowing me to come into your home. I'm going to eat of your bread and food. That means in my sleep, you're not going to kill me and take my stuff. So it's definitely a contract between 2 people, and it rarely was broken.
And to do so, that is an offense to the entire North. So when you do something like that, you're essentially declaring a kind of war on not just the Starks, but every other house in the North who abides by the rule. Yeah, it's your society.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point. I didn't think of it that way, but you're absolutely right. And that's why everyone hates the phrase, not just because every family had somebody of the North had somebody at the Red Wedding, but you broke a custom that they have stories about, like the Rat King.
Right. Yeah.
Or the Rat King. Up in, on the wall, there's a story of a cook feeding this visiting King his own children. And it wasn't that he killed the kids. It wasn't that he fed the guy his own kids. It was that he killed these people under guest rights. So he was transformed into a giant rat, and he had to live for eternity as this rat that was always hungry and eating its own young and just nutty shit. But that's one of the non-stories, even though it didn't come from her directly. It probably did. That they taught their children, like, this is how important this is.
Yeah.
So it really does everything not to accept guest rights, which I always thought was cool, and no one else notices that, but probably Barbary Dustin, because she's intelligent. Now you have
in the chat.
Who is? Oh, what up, brother? Wax, you're absolutely right. We could always use a hand if you want to jump in, because I'm lost right now. But you have Manderly not accepting guest rights, playing the oath. You know, he fed most likely Frey pies to everyone, which is fantastic. But you have to also remember that at one point, they were told by Rob to build ships. So the Umbers, no, not the Umbers. The Umbers and the Manderlys, they're in connection together. Yes. We don't know where those ships are either. So they've been building ships for how long? Maybe a year and a half, I would say.
And that's another active, a decision that was made to support this conspiracy potentially on a part of or one of the families. And again, along with the Manderlys, that's something that's now we do know that there is a split among the Umbers.
Right, but is there?
Well,
is there really a split?
That's the question. That's the question.
Because I believe they're playing both, not playing both sides. Look, no one wants Stannis. No one wants the Boltons. Everybody wants to, bring their revenge, and they want to honor the Starks by killing off the Boltons first off. I mean, Stannis even says that the Northern Lords aren't here because they love me. They're here because they want to save Ned Stark's daughter. Which really isn't his daughter in the books. If you only watch the show, it's Jayne Poole, but they don't know that. So, you have crow's food inside Winterfell with, all the young boys and old men. I always back this up. The other Umbers out with Stannis with either the young boys or the old men. It's reversed, but I think they're working in concert together. I think they're working together because you're right.
I think they may be, but it could also be a situation that you were talking about, I think backstage, where you have all these everyone's moving in the same direction, but they may not necessarily be coordinating.
Well, and that's what I think. I mean, I'll come up right out with it. I don't believe the Northern conspiracy is as grand as they say. And yes, I wrote great because that's how it was listed on a lot of things, even though I knew it was grand. I do believe that there are multiple conspiracies because it takes two people to have a conspiracy.
Right.
And you have like this northeast conspiracy of the Manderlys. You have down in the neck where Rob's will might be with Mormonts and with the help me out here. Lord of the Neck is
I can't remember.
Howland Reed, the Reeds.
Yeah, the Reeds.
Yeah. We are really bad tonight. The one night
Monday.
Mary comes and watches us and we suck. But you have you have that one where I also believe that I truly believe if you watch what Lady Stoneheart has been doing, she's somehow involved in that too. Maybe not on such a conscious level, but she's doing so. There's one section, and I'll let you respond to this. She's in an area, and I forget the exact time where Rob signed his will, but she's there. Then she goes towards the neck. Then she goes back to the Riverland. Like she's following this path that his will most likely went on. And
I think I don't know the extent to which she's involved in a conspiracy, but she's certainly making it easier by killing off enemies
Right, Freys and Lannisters.
Exactly. So I think in that way, she's definitely helping. She's part of this conspiracy, whether she is doing so intentionally or in some organized fashion.
Right. Yeah. Let's put it this way. I don't think she's involved with them, but she's following that
path.
That will. She's following where the will went. And that could also be because she doesn't like Jon and the lady Stoneheart, the Catelyn that's still in there, doesn't want that will maybe to come out.
Do you think that's it?
It could be. Because if you look at the path she goes on, she goes to where the will was signed. She starts towards the neck. She has the she has I forget the musician's name. Seven strings.
But I would think she would be protecting it, if anything, because I mean, her son is dead now. So why would she want it destroyed?
Because she doesn't want Jon to be king.
I don't know.
I don't even care. Like, think about it.
You're basically saying that she's a bitch even in death.
Even in death, yes. What have we talked about fire whites? You know,
exactly.
they're obsessed with those last things they were dealing with. And she has never trusted Jon. You know, she's always resented Jon for maybe usurping her kids', inheritance. So that's always on her mind. So I wouldn't doubt her thinking that. Just like how we have our theory that Dany is a fire white, which I completely am starting to buy into. She's obsessed with those things. She might not have been thinking about the slaves as she walked into that fire, but it's always constantly on her mind. So Jon is always constantly on Stoneheart's or Catelyn's mind. I could see her wanting to destroy that will. She knew where it was going.
I kind of think the exact opposite on that one. We'll have to see.
Tell me why.
Because I'm
talking way too much. Please help me.
No, it's fine. I'm also sort of the mind, and I'm undecided on this, but I'm of the mind that her death may be useful to Jon in some way, that either she's going to sacrifice herself so that he can become the hero, or maybe something happens where he dies. I mean, I know he's dead right now, but for some reason she has to revive him by giving him her life or something along those lines. Like, I feel that she would be on the side of mankind, which is the side Jon will be on. I can't hear you. Are you muted?
I am a professional and I'm doing it right. I agree with you on that. I really do. But does that mean she wants him to be king?
I don't think she's thinking about things in political terms anymore.
She's doing political moves. I know everyone's like, oh, she's just killing random Freys. I think she's doing it to weaken the Freys, not just revenge. I think she's more calculated than we're giving her. Because Beric was maybe obsessed with protecting the people of the Riverlands, but he was also intelligent. Like, it wasn't like he was a zombie. She may not be able to talk very well, but there's stuff going on up there. I gotta believe it. I gotta believe it. And one of those things is she will not want Jon to be, or she might want to protect it. I don't know, but that is something I think that's involved in this. I think, so we got two separate ones that I could think of off the top of my head, because that's how we do it here, people. We wing it. Please hit share and like and subscribe. I really believe that we have the Manderly, the Umber, the and I'm forgetting the other family.
Well, the Glovers.
The Glovers.
The meeting. Yeah.
Jesus. The Glovers are involved in that, and there's probably like the Little Clan, like some of the Mountain Clans involved in it too. I wrote some stuff down there.
Yeah, I mean, Destin lists several families that would take issue, but also we know who was at the meeting. Besides the Glovers, the Locks and the Flints were also there. But speaking of the Glovers, I hate how they were portrayed in the show.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Can we
It's
talk
insane.
about that?
What are your thoughts on that?
Are you talking about Gary?
How
Are you
so?
saying Tom's is the the maestro Tom? Or are you saying hi to a Tom? Because I can't say silver string, 7 strings, something like that. I can't remember the maestro. Oh, okay. All right, let's talk about this.
Yeah.
You start and I'll come in because I really talk way too much.
You don't talk too much. So,
Come on.
all right. So you have Jon going to the Glovers, and they're all hesitant, and I think they even reject him like the first time, right?
Yes.
While we have in the book, they are at this secret meeting planning to restore Rickon to the throne.
Right.
Where is this leap of logic coming from?
Okay.
That they are somehow anti-Stark or would be working against the Stark or not support the Starks.
Well, they played this little stupid thing in the show. They decided like it was the sons of the lords, like the Umber son and the Glover son. Like they killed either their fathers died or they killed them off. Like, but yet they would never side with the Boltons fully, I would believe. Ever. And not as like how excited they are. Like, was it a number that went to Skago, son of a bitch,
and came back with the wolf head and threw it and came
first
back
of all,
with
that
the
looked
child.
like a baby wolf. But anyways, comes back with the wolf head and their true lord, maybe even king, their true king.
Right.
Like, for who? For Ramsay Snow? Yeah, no, Snow. Ramsay Snow? Like, it made no sense. And to have Manderley involved in that, that's what killed me too.
It wouldn't have happened.
It wouldn't have happened. And I want to say, am I wrong? Is the guy who plays Manderley the same guy from Gladiator who owns Russell Crowe? Or am I wrong?
Oh, I have no idea.
Someone look that up. Adam Price, how you doing? Subhuman 84. Thank you. Dark Side Droids. Hello, my friend. I'm glad you guys are all here. Thank you. You know, we wing it. Usually we're a little bit more people bouncing ideas off of each other. Tonight it's me and Jayne. I don't know where anybody else is. So if you know this really well and you're not crazy, I'll send you a link. So yeah, the show sucked. Okay. I love Abu Nas. I respect Abu Nas. We're going to have him on this show, hopefully next week. But you tell me, he thought season 8 was done correctly. I think season 8, and I didn't want to, I mean, I kind of disagreed with him. I did disagree with him, but he was I got to give him credit. He had his reasons.
We're going to have that discussion.
We are. Next week, I think we're going to talk about show versus book because Abu Nas didn't read the books, even though he knows the history really, really well.
Yeah.
I don't know if he watched like those, DVD specials or something like that, the lore, but he knows it real well. I was very impressed last night with his knowledge for someone who's never read the books or listened to the books. So I thought that was pretty cool. To have Manderley, Glover, and Umbers excited to work for Roose Bolton made me sick. I'll just put it like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I saw that it broke my heart almost as much as the Red Wedding.
Well, even the worst thing about that is in the books, I believe some of those lords, maybe a good handful, like because the Glovers don't live too far from Winterfell. The Umbers are in and out. The Manderleys know them well. They knew that wasn't Arya Stark.
Right.
Okay. They're just going along with this charade until they could figure something else out.
Mm-hmm.
In the show, it's actually Sansa. Like they allow her to get beaten and raped.
Right. Yeah.
But I call bullshit.
There's no way it would have happened.
Never. And
then they have
somewhere said he never watched the he never watched the show either. Good for you, my brother. Good for you.
And the lady who came to her and was like, the North remembers, they killed her.
Right.
In the show.
Wait a minute. Say that one more time.
There was a lady who came to her, and I can't remember who it was, but she came to her and basically whispered, the North remembers, to reassure her that
Right.
she's not alone.
We thought that
And-
was going to be something.
Yeah. No, it's nothing.
Nope. She's dead. She's dead. Ramsay Snow's crazy. We all know. And I think they did a disservice to Roose Bolton in the show, having him like walk into a freaking knife. Pretty much that's what he did. He just walked into a knife. Like, oh my God, I can't believe my son just killed me after I told him you may not be my heir anymore. Like,
right. That's the other. It's just crazy.
That show is shit.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it yet, our great friend Lorena Creel last night had a season 3 recap. She just watched the show for the first time recently. She binged it, and it was myself, Jayne, Abu Nas, and her. Season 3 was awesome. I personally think it was the best. And then
really
Abu
good.
Nas said season 5, and I just cringed a little bit because I couldn't stand season 5. But
I like season 5, but
you do?
yeah.
What am I missing about season 5?
It just hadn't gone full crazy yet.
It just started. The last episode of season 4 started the crazy. I'm trying to remember exactly what happened, but I always remember thinking the last episode of season 4 was horrific and should never have happened. And then season 5 I thought was terrible. And I'm trying to remember exactly what happened in season 5. Because now I blanked most of that show out. Like I had to rewatch.
You kind of have to.
You have to. I think 1, 2, and 3 were the best seasons, and 6 was pretty good. 7 and 8 could be thrown in the garbage heap.
6 had the Battle of the Bastards thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it had a little bit of a saving grace there.
Yeah.
But after that, it's complete trash.
No, complete trash.
Nothing left after that.
Well, that was what they were good at. They were good at the big spectacle. And even season 8 wasn't that good with the spectacle. I mean, season 7, you had that like Field of Fire 2.0 where they burned the Lannisters. That was pretty dope. Just seeing him come over the hillside, that was awesome. Okay.
That's because you heard him first. So that was pretty
cool. My God. Like everyone's like, and it was what's his name? The guy who saves Tyrion in the cells from the Eyrie. Bronn was the one that first heard it, which I've always found that was the one thing. And one of the later things in the show, I was like, that was kind of cool because Bronn's always aware, because he's always thinking, to live as long as he had, he always has to be prepared for something. And he heard it. Oh, that was awesome. Sorry, we, went off script there for a second, but we don't have a script. Please like, share, and subscribe. So back to the conspiracy. Now, what do you think
in the chat?
Who is?
Fatal J.
Fatal J, my brother. Fatal J, my brother. I just stopped in. Please, guys, if you like the DCEU, I'm not the biggest fan, but he makes me want to like it. Fatal J, please subscribe. I don't know if you know this little channel. I think his name is Larry from Nerdrotic. Great guy. Up and comer in the Fandom Menace. Please subscribe. And literally, if anybody Tommy has a channel. Tommy, please drop your link in the chat. If you have Fatals queued up, please throw that in the chat too. Would much appreciate that. There it is, right there. Thank you.
Yay.
I want to get back to Manderly because do you think he has anything to do with the Ghost of Winterfell or the murders going on, or is that separate?
See, I'm not entirely certain that he is involved in that. Is there a reason why you think he would be in particular?
No, but I'm trying to think of who was murdered. So the people that got killed in let's see, murdered in Winterfell. Wow, I am so underprepared tonight. There were like random people. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't
seemingly random, right?
Right, seemingly random, exactly. Could that be? All right, here we go. So we're going to take the different murders and tell me what you think.
Okay.
You have the Manderleys, the Umbers, the Glovers, the Stouts, who was the other family?
Manderly, Glover, Locke, Flint, Stout,
Okay.
Dustin,
See, now,
a
do you
couple
think the
others.
Dustins are involved with them, or they're just waiting to see which way it goes?
Oh no, I think the Dustins are involved.
So I don't think she was involved until she went down in the crypts and saw the swords were gone. I think now she's involved.
Well, yeah, I think that was about finding the proof that Rickon was still alive and Bran. So sure, I think that was confirmation, but I think her people are definitely involved at this point, and probably prior to that, we're giving some sort of aid to those who were involved, especially since she knows what's going on.
Yeah. Okay. So let's look at what
So
she said.
even just by not saying anything,
Right.
she's giving aid to those who are conspiring.
Right. Okay. So tell me if this comes up blurry when I look at it, because I do not see the screen. I got to get a better setup. Is it blurry?
No, it's fine.
Okay. So, do you imagine Horsebane loves you any better? If you did not hold the great John, he would pull out your entrails and make you eat them, as Lady Hornwood ate her fingers. Flint, Serwyn, Tallheart, Slates, they all had men with the young wolf. House Riswell too, said Roger Riswell. Even Dustin's out of Barrowtown. Lady Dustin parted her lips in a thin, feral smile. The North remembers Frey. Annie's Frey's mouth quivered with outrage. Stark dishonored us. That is what you Northmen had best remember. Roose Bolton rubbed at his chapped lips. This squabbling will not serve. He flicked his finger at Theon. You are free to go. Take care where you wander. Blah, 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 blah. The hour of the wolf found him still awake. Okay. So I thought it went a little farther. I'm telling you right there, that's her finally. So that's after she came out of the crypts, after she talked to, I want to say Wex again. I think Wex is now in Winterfell, and not maybe directly from Wex, but like people that spoke to Wex. Because Wex knows the story, you know? She speaks to somebody, tells Theon to bring her down. What is that?
Was it Horseman who she met with at some point?
It could have been. Oh God, I am horrible. Why did we pick this
like
topic without researching it better? We can go off script if you want. We can go somewhere completely different in a little bit, but I really do want to get this. I really wish Stig and Christy were here with us too.
Well, when she made it to the crypt, she got her proof.
She got her proof.
Yeah.
So you believe she's part of the Manderley?
Yes.
Or is she just
the Manderleys and the Umbers?
it now?
I know she met with an Umber. Okay. I know that happened. And so she would have gotten her information from the Manderleys. Yes. Right? The hint that would have caused her to go looking for evidence.
Yes, which would have came from probably Wex. Because Wex is the only one that knew that that those swords were missing, that those farmer boys or miller's sons were burned, knowing that Theon didn't actually kill them. So the knowledge is in Winterfell.
Right.
There's a ton of Northern lords. Yes, there probably are some like the Karstarks who would have been on Bolton's side if they weren't trying to screw over Stannis and got caught. Like there are families that do not have love for the Starks.
Yeah.
And the Barbary Dustin is one of them. I mean, Ned left her Lord husband's bones in Dorne. Most likely.
She's reason to be upset.
She has reason to be. Well, he gave back the horse. I thought that was nice of him. Shit. That's another topic altogether. But she has her reasons for disliking the Boltons too. And we're told right there, everybody had somebody at that wedding. Right. Everybody was following the young wolf. Yes, people were upset with what decisions he made by marrying the Westerling girl and getting her pregnant and not keeping his vow to the phrase of marrying one of his daughters.
But it's like, even if you take out the love for Starks, you still have the fact that they lost people
Mm-hmm.
in that wedding. And you have the fact that the guest right was violated at that
Right.
wedding. So they have personally invested reasons to hate the Boltons with everything they have and want them overthrown.
Right. And what better way to do it then? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you get a Stark, everyone will follow that. And it must have killed them to watch. Some of them might not know that's Arya. They might think it's Arya. To watch what's going, hear her screams at night.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, people, if you only watch the show, what happened to Sansa was like a walk in the park compared to what happens to Jayne Poole in the books. I mean, let's just say there's dogs involved. Okay. Use your freaking imagination. George R.R. Martin is a twisted son of a bitch, and that's why I love reading his stuff. So now, is it getting stronger? Because now you have the fake Arya escaped with Reek. You know, they're now with Stannis. The Manderlys and the Freys go at it after Little Walder was found dead. So Little Walder, that was like, see, that's one of those big clues that I feel like maybe the Manderlys were involved in it. But it almost makes me feel like that's just too easy. You know what I mean?
I'm sure it's someone important or from one of the important houses involved, but it's almost like it could have been anyone.
Right.
Because the Freys are absolutely despised at this point.
It could be Benjen Stark.
Could be. Why
could
not?
Be Benjen. Why not? Why not? He finds, you know, he goes north, disappears for a while, finds out his whole family's been slaughtered pretty much.
Yeah.
I'd go south to get some revenge. I don't screw my Night's Watch stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Latino Slant. What's up, man? I want the Manderlys to be involved, but I don't know if they're involved with the neck conspiracy. Okay, so you have one of the Mormonts, lady, you'll know the name because you're better at this than me. Lady Gary.
Who are you talking about?
Marge, not Marge. It's Mage, thank you. The one that fights, you know.
Yeah, the mother of Lyanna.
Yes, she's in the neck. So she's one of the people that, and one of the Glovers is in the neck with the will. Now, they're hiding. I would think they're hiding in the neck after everything went down with the Red Wedding and the Boltons taking over and holding that will to figure out what to do with it. Now, do they present it once Rickon, like, is that how it's connected? Like, we get Rickon, we back him, you bring the will saying, if any of my brothers are still alive, they're the next king, depending on, you know what I mean?
I think that would make sense to get the two in the same room at the same time in front of the right people.
Right.
Adds validity to the claim because they also have to convince the public that this is Rickon too. That's part of it because everyone else thinks that he's dead. So they're going to need him and they may also need the will.
Yeah. I mean,
put him in.
But that's why he has to bring back him and the direwolf.
Well, yeah.
That's the proof.
Yeah.
I mean, if a 3-year-old kid walks in with a direwolf, it sounds like the beginning of a joke. If a 3-year-old kid walks in with a direwolf, I think you're going to say, like, is that Rickon Stark?
That's why the little dog head didn't.
I didn't believe it. I didn't believe it.
No one did.
I thought they were throwing a fake one on there, like just a wolf, and they were going to screw over Ramsay. Didn't work. Didn't happen. God, I hate that show.
Yeah.
Oh, with a passion. See, that's one thing you'll get true here. I love all the other Game of Thrones channels, but not many of them are very honest with themselves, I believe, when it comes to this show.
Yeah.
There are a few. And I'm not dissing anyone. I really am not. It's just that I have to be honest. I can't lie when it comes to something just to get subscribers. You know, the truth is the show is horrendous.
It sucks.
And it broke my heart. Like, and then when you find out that George and HBO wanted 10 to 15 seasons,
right? And
those two pieces of shit, Dan and Dave, said F you and didn't want to hand over the show to somebody else who might have brought new blood into it.
Exactly.
Madonna Mia.
No, they just trashed it, ran it into the ground.
Right. I could see that. Fatal J and the Hobbit leaf is the three-eyed raven. I could see that. I could see that. What's up, Mason? Thanks for stopping in, brother. We are very random tonight, so just bear with us. It's only the two of us, and we didn't plan very well for tonight's show. So we're just talking about whatever we can think of when it comes. I think we're doing great, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the grand conspiracy, again, I don't think it's connected, but I do think there are conspiracies going on, and the Boltons have to. You think it'll happen in the Winds of Winter? It has to. It has to happen early.
I think you have to see the convergence at the very least.
And what do you mean by that?
Well, because right now we're getting clusters. Like we're getting this meeting with Davos, and we know who's there. We're getting Lady Dustin, and we know who's with her. You have the cluster in the neck. So, like, are all of these going to converge at some point? Are we going to see them interacting at some point?
Right, and don't forget about the Blackfish and Edmure Tully. You know, that could definitely be a force to reckon with, because don't forget, he's not just the king of the North. Whoever is crowned king is king of the North and the Riverlands. Both of those areas succeeded. Everyone always says the king of the North because it sounds great, but the truth is it's the king of the North, and the Riverlands is now part of the North, which is huge. I mean, it makes it like a quarter bigger of it's the biggest landmass on Westeros. It already was. The North was pretty much equal to. Now it's the biggest. And you have the Isle of Faces,
which we don't know what's on it.
Faces.
That's what Stig would say. We know what's on it.
We know what's on it. There's faces and trees. And I have a feeling those trees are not connected to the Weirwood net, because the lake is so deep that they are not connected to the Weirwood net, and they hold a knowledge that no one else will know.
An older knowledge
and of the pact. Because don't you think Bloodraven would know exactly what the pact said, and Bran would find out exactly what the pact said?
Exactly.
So there has to be something special about those trees. And now it's part of the North. I don't know. Is it coincidence? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. I just have a feeling that it will be a king of the North or a three-eyed raven brother king of the North that will find out that these trees are special. They are probably some of the most ancient and somehow not connected to the rest of the Weirwood net. And I find that to be really interesting, because that's the only place south of the neck that has weirwood trees.
And you could argue that they haven't been manipulated because of their location.
Except for, don't forget, Manderley is also a part of the Order of the Green Hand.
That's right.
Right? So this, I feel like it's more than just a conspiracy about the king.
Wow.
I feel like it's a conspiracy about, that's why I think Manderley is as good as Tywin, as good as Tyrion, as good as anybody playing the game. There's knowledge he's after that I don't think anyone, because he knows, he must have a sense that these kids are wargs. He must have a sense that these kids somehow have a telepathic ability with their direwolves. Because why not muster up your own troops, because you didn't lose too many men. You know a lot of houses that will back you. The mountain clouds will back you, and just try to proclaim your own house.
Well, I think they would know that too, because of Robb and his connection with Grey Wind.
Right.
Remember, everyone talked about that.
They always talked about how they seemed to be one and the same, fighting, sensing each other. So does he have knowledge that he just hasn't leaked out yet? That if we could show this connection with the direwolves, which if you have one of the boys, you will be able to see it, because Rickon has abilities that people overlook.
Right.
I mean, he has green dreams.
He does.
He dreamt about his father coming to him in the crypts and that's why he was down there before Bran looking for his father. So he might not be a green seer, but he might be like Jojen. He might be a warg / have the ability to have green dreams.
Yeah. An innate, untapped, untamed power.
Yes. And yet everyone talks about the name of Shaggy Dog, meaning it's a convoluted story that really ends up going nowhere. I hope that's not true.
I hope it's not true.
I kind of hope it has some meaning. And I think that's what the meaning of Rickon will be, to show people that the Starks are more than just mortal men. They have powers again, like they talked about in ancient times, you know,
all the stories were true.
All the stories were true. Let's check out what the chat
epic.
has to say. That's a terrible kingdom, though. The North cannot defeat the Riverlands. They don't have to. They're part of each other. They swore an oath to the North. And the Tullys are still active. They might not be in charge at the moment, but they're still active in the North or in the Riverlands. It's just
good
take
fighters
time.
In their own right.
Right. Northern conspiracy. There must always be a Stark in Winterfell. Yes. There not being one is the reason for the horrible blizzard. There's evidence in the text for that too.
I can believe it.
I can believe there's a
but
magical...
I'm not sure why.
Yeah. Dude, I'm going to have to look that up.
It's an interesting point.
I don't think I've seen that before. That's impressive.
The Winter Kings keep the winter at bay.
Seriously. I like that. Even just saying it that way. P.S. Order of the Green Hand is some old House Gardener stuff, not Isles of Faces, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, but aren't the Green Men still on the Isle? Weren't they part of protecting the Isle of Faces after the pact was signed? I know it's House Gardener, but
the thing is, they could have
don't they
older
wear the antlers
roots
and everything? They're the ones that wear the antlers and dress in green armor. Look at Joshua. I mean, I'm not trying to give you homework, but if you could check that out, I believe that they are on the Isle of Faces, and they're the only ones still there. But yes, it is an older one. It's because the Manderlys came from the Reach 1,000 years prior and were run out by some house. I still don't know if we got the name of that house. And they only protection they were given was by the Starks of Winterfell. And they were given a pretty dope area too. They were given, the Wolf's Den, all the silver mines in that area. I think they made out pretty good. And that's why they are so devoted to the Starks, because when they were at their lowest, the Starks stood up for them and said, we will protect you and you will be one of our bannermen. And this is your land. So yes, but if you could look into that, that'd be great. George loves subvert tropes. Yes, he does. He knows what subversion really means, though.
Right.
Time for a new map. You might have a point. Theon chapter, when the Bolton's flag is raised, an icy wind blows from the north. Oh, I see what you're saying. That was the beginning of the blizzard. Like their flag was raised over Winterfell, and all of a sudden an icy wind comes from the north, and the blizzards start soon after. Interesting, man. The Isle of Faces Def has some crazy old school stuff. True that, my friend. True that. We'll just read two more. Plus, they control the main river system in the north. Yes. Yes, that's true. That's why they're building the boats. They have the harbor, but they also have that. And it goes deep into the north. That's why he took that riverboat while the three Freys took the horses. The Green Men or Green Men is a sacred order entrusted with the guardianship of the Isle of Faces in the Riverlands. Some nursery tales claim they are horned and have dark green skin. Thank you, Tina. Yeah, I knew they were involved in it. So that even gets me more thinking that Manderly has something to do with them too. He has knowledge that we don't know. And I like it.
That would be freaking epic.
He did get one of his chin slashed though. Hopefully he's all right. But so happens. They get into the fight. Roose realizes that he's losing control of Winterfell because it seems like everyone's starting to get cabin fever. Even Lady Barbary speaks out against him out loud publicly.
Yeah.
Even though she was talking to a Frey, Roose was right there.
Oh, we know what she was doing.
We know what she was doing. And she
talking to one person. She was talking directly to him.
Right.
She was just directing it at the Frey.
Well, she's holding the death of Roos's trueborn son against Ramsay, because most people know Ramsay killed him. Ramsay killed the Lady of Hornwood. He's a freaking murderer. Everybody knows that. Everyone thinks he's a psycho. They're just waiting for the perfect opportunity. And I still don't understand why they just haven't, in Winterfell, just said fuck it and just went for it.
Right. I would have.
The phrase in the Boltons against everybody else. But cut the gate, let it open, let Stannis in, kill everybody.
I mean, I would have had that attitude. They can't kill us all. There are only so many of them. Right.
Exactly.
That's when you riot.
That's when you go for it. Or you have, I don't know, a political group that just sits back and lets you do it.
Right.
So let's look at the deaths. So you have a Roswell man at arms. The dead man was found at the base of the inner wall with his neck broken and only his left leg showing above the snow that had buried him during the night. Again, what he was talking about, the blizzards. The man was groom. Okay, so let's see. The man was a groom and no guard and was not expected to be on the battlement at all. So a plausible scenario seems that he would or heard something on the inner wall, which was innocent enough to not alarm any guards straight away, but, then was killed. It may have been a washerwoman trying to find an escape route. We don't know. Death number 2 was Aenys Frey, Squire, Aenys Frey Squire. The next morning, Sir Aenys Frey's grizzled squire was found naked and dead of exposure in the old castle lich yard, his face so obscured by hoarfrost that he appeared to be wearing a mask. Okay, so now you got a Frey dead and early on a Roswell man dead prior to Lady Dustin stating that people died at the Red Wedding out loud. So wherever Lady Dustin goes, the Roswells follow. Or Riswells, however you want to say it. A flint crossbowman. Before the day was done, a crossbowman sworn to flint turned up in the stables with a broken skull. This is the baffling one. This is the one I never understood, if there was some type, because the flints are kind of involved in it. The flints are sworn to the movies, so they seem out of the question. There is zero evidence that this is unnamed man who would have anything to do with Ramsay or end up in the way of a washerwoman somehow, who have shit all to do with the stables. But the stables make another accident. Well, that's what most people thought. But the stables make another appearance the next night. That's right. They collapse under the weight of the snow, killing 2 grooms and 26 horses. Now the stables have just recently been built. So could that crossbowman, and I'm not reading this and who is this? This is posted by Dr_Gruzlis at Reddit, A Song of Ice and Fire. So I'm not reading what he put there, but think about it. If they were rigging the stable and this guy just happened to walk in, well, you got to kill him. You don't know where his loyalties really are. You don't know who he's going to tell. A secret's only secret until you tell somebody else.
That's true.
So I could see that not being it was an accident, but it was a murder still. You know what I mean? And then the death of number 4 was Yellow Dick. I love that one. The dead man was one of Ramsay's favorite, and his actual member was cut off and put in his mouth, but it was shoved so far and broke all his teeth. Oh God, I love that.
And see, I think that's one of the reasons why there is a theory that it's Theon.
I've always thought that Theon is injured. Yes, he has 4 or 5 fingers altogether. Missing toes, broken teeth. Can the ghost of Winterfell, who isn't Theon the only one seeing him? The only one that actually saw him?
Yeah.
If someone knows that in there, let me know. Lorena Creel, thank you for stopping in, my friend, showing support. We were just talking about your stream last night. Please check her out and subscribe. could it be like a split personality thing?
That's what I'm thinking. I think it would explain why he doesn't recognize the person, even though I think they get pretty close to one another face to face, I believe. But
Right.
he
That's what
doesn't
I'm
see his
saying.
face.
He doesn't see the face. He just hears him call him a kinslayer,
Right.
you know, a turncloak, that type of thing. And who would
Exactly.
know that he's a kinslayer?
He's the only
Because some
one.
people are like, oh, it's because they were like family. No, you don't say that.
No,
Just 'cause
no.
he was a hostage.
Exactly. Wards aren't, that wouldn't have been
Right.
used for a ward.
But one of the Miller's sons might have been his kid. Some
Exactly.
people, I mean, they had an affair. It was an ongoing one. So who other than his own subconscious would think I killed my own son?
Exactly.
I like that theory. It's just, and everyone goes to the idea that Theon wouldn't be physically capable, but okay, the human body's able to do some crazy shit. Think about how a mother can lift up a car to save her kid. Who's to say when he flips into that next persona, it doesn't think itself injured. It doesn't think
Right.
itself weak. It thinks of itself as strong Theon Greyjoy or whatever.
Exactly. And I think under that persona, there's nothing he wouldn't have been able to do.
Mm-hmm. I like that.
Because I mean, he is a warrior when he's
Yes,
himself. So
right,
he's a fighter. As long as he's not Reek, there's nothing to stop him from being as vicious as he was.
right. I mean, he looks old and brittle, but that doesn't mean he can't somehow subconsciously go, screw this. I'm still a man. I'm still strong. So I kind of like that one. I just don't know if I believe it, but I do like it. You kind of are in the camp
I'm
of
hoping
believing
that
it,
that's
aren't
it.
you?
Yeah, yeah, I am. I think it fits.
Yeah, because no one else sees him that I could think of. He's
And
the
it
only
has
one that,
information, like you're saying, it has information about him that only he would know. So I don't know
exactly.
who else it could be.
Right. Yeah, because I'm sorry, the Kinslayer thing, everyone knew he was a hostage.
Hmm.
He was a ward. You know, they raised him like one of his own, but he wasn't one of their own. So I don't think anyone would call him Kinslayer. I don't remember anybody calling him Kinslayer other than that. Do you?
No, not at all. It wouldn't make any sense.
Fatal's J said, did Bolton really eat Reek's meat stick? So we were talking about this last night on Lorena Creel's Game of Thrones show recap. We were doing season 3 where that happens. And please go check that out. Watch the replay. But in the books, Theon disappears for almost, I want to say a whole book almost. And then this person reappears as this guy Reek.
Hmm.
And we don't find out right away that that's Theon. You know what I mean? So like,
Hmm.
we don't see the torture. That only happens in the show.
Right.
I don't remember there being anything about him actually eating his junk. He might have fed it to his dogs though.
That that's something he would do
Oh, totally.
in front of
Totally.
him.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Theon does have some memory issues. Very unreliable POV. Yes. I don't see him crushing someone's teeth. I can understand why you would think that, but I can also understand why Jayne thinks that. You know, it doesn't take much to grab a penis with a couple fingers and just crack somebody with a fist. Or, you know, is it the person's fist? Did he jam something else into the dude's mouth and then shove it in there? You know, like we don't know the whole story.
It's like in the movie Split,
Yes.
where when he becomes the monster, his body reshapes itself almost to fit.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that may well be a thing.
It may well be a thing. Orville Nation in the house. If you are not subscribed to this guy, he gets guests that no one else gets. Okay. Please check him. He gets actual actors. So check him out.
It
He
was
has one
sent
of
to
the best
Balon.
interviews.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Like Nerdrotic said, it was sent to Balon. You're right. I completely forgot about that.
Oh shit. Yes. It's sent in a box. I thought that was
Yeah.
only the show. I thought that was only in the show, but he's right. I think that was sent in the box in the book too. Oh shit. That's true.
Crazy.
That is
Crazy.
true. And thank you, Gary, seriously, for still listening, because we are not on point tonight, but we're having a good time. So I keep apologizing. I'm like a beaten person.
Like, why are you right?
I
Like,
know. Why am I like dissing myself? I don't know why I'm doing that. Screw you. This is the best show ever. All right. We will proceed with whatever we're talking about. What do you think? Who do you think made the snowmen? So
someone who is on the
go ahead.
inside. Well, yeah, I think it was someone who was on the inside.
It has to be. Okay. I'm gonna find that again because I actually nexted it. But you had a Manderly, you had Lady Dustin, you had the one-armed guy, Stout. Was it one of the Stouts? I'll find it right now. But there were lords that could be involved in the conspiracy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm wondering, if people know and are.
Well, people probably suspect, because I mean, it's not like Roose isn't paranoid at this point. I mean, he doesn't trust like the Manderleys or anyone either. So maybe it's an open secret.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't think of it that way. So you're saying like even probably Roose knows that this shit is going down.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
going
he's
down.
not dumb. You're right.
Conspiring.
He must have an idea that, I mean, he sends out the phrase and the Manderleys because they're fighting, so in one stroke, he gets rid of two competing factions, people to feed, possible people to overthrow him. But he also gets rid of the phrase. Like, that's one part where I'm like, okay, now the phrase are gone and they're only Bolton men.
Right.
So you tell me that there's not enough Manderleys, Umbers, Glovers, Dustins. You know what I mean? Like everybody that's there. You're trying to tell me there's not enough to overthrow them. We might find out that it does happen.
But I mean, it may be a situation, again, going back to what you were saying earlier, of people not necessarily knowing for sure what people are doing. It's like, I know you don't like these people and you're probably plotting to overthrow them, and I know I am, but can I move first? Can I trust that you're going to have my back? It's like nobody wants to cross that picket line first or whatever.
Right.
Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah. Well, now are you up on the Maester's conspiracy?
I'm not familiar with the Maester's conspiracy.
Okay, so the Maester's conspiracy, and Lady Dustin is the first to really give us any knowledge about that. So here we go. I'm going to read a little bit. Let's see. It's right here. Okay, so very young, but in their robes and chains. Okay, she might have said more, but then she saw the Maester. Okay, so she's talking to, I want to say it's Reek, about the Maester. 3 of them had entered. She's talking about the difference as Maester Merdrick went to a need to whisper in Bolton's ear. Lady Dustin's mouth twisted in disdain. If I were queen, the first thing I would do would be to kill all those gray rats. They scurry everywhere, living the leavings of their lords, chittering to one another, whispering in the ears of their masters. But who are the masters and who are the servants truly? Every great lord has his maester. Every lesser lord aspires to one. If you do not have a maester, it is taken to mean that you are of little consequence. The gray rats read and write our letters, even for such lords as cannot read themselves, and who can say for a certainty that they are not twisting the words for their own ends. What good are they, I ask you? And then Theon says, they heal. And Lady Dustin says, they heal, yes. I never said they were not suitable. They tend to us when we are sick, injured, or distraught over the illness of a parent or child. Whenever we are weakest and most vulnerable, there they are. Sometimes they heal us, and we are duly grateful. When they fail, they console us in our grief, and we are grateful for that as well. Out of the gratitude, we give them a place beneath our roof and make them privy to all our shames and secrets, a part of every council. And before too long, the ruler has become the ruled. That is what happened with Lord Rickon Stark. Maester Wally's was his gray rat's name, and it is clever how the maesters go by only one name, even those who had two when they first arrived at Citadel. The way we cannot know, that way we cannot know who they truly are or where they come from. But if you are dogged enough, you can still find out. Before he forged his chain, Maester Wales had been known as Wales Flower. Flowers, hills, rivers, snow. We give such name to baseborn children to make them for what they are, but they are always quick to shed them. Wales Flower had a Hightower girl for a mother and an Archmaester of the Citadel for a father. The Grey Rats are not as chaste as you believe. So she just goes on. But what she's talking about, I'm sorry, my mic is getting a little funky. What she's talking about is that the Maesters throughout time have been able to insert themselves in every great lord's house and other lords' houses too. A lot of these lords never learned to write, so they might be sending messages that these lords don't know. They're involved in every council. They birth your children. They take care of you when they're sick. You become like they're part of your family. But a lot of people believe that they were very involved in the Dance with the Dragons and the killing of the Targaryens. Mostly they're dragons, though. They don't want magic in the world. Think how they treat anyone with a Valyrian chain, anyone who studies the dark arts or the mystical arts. They think of them as a kook. Maester Marlin, they consider him a kook, but it's just because he believes in learning about the mystical arts. There's just hints here and there that these guys are involved in a conspiracy of their own to rule Westeros the way they see fit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I could see them having their own agenda, generally speaking, to maintain certain people in power, get rid of the dragons, that sort of thing. Yeah, I can see that.
Right, Master Grandmaster Parcell. I would say his name wrong because I had a teacher named Parcells. But he worked for Tywin Lannister. But he was Robert's maester, Grand Maester.
Right.
So, involved in all the stabby stab and death. You know what I mean? Like,
and she makes a good point about not knowing their last names too, and you don't know where their real allegiances are. That's true.
That's why it's such a big reveal when we find out it's Aemon Targaryen.
Mm-hmm.
Fatal.
We love you, Fatal.
We love you too, brother. I mean, more than you know, bro. I love that, man. The Dark Council every Tuesday night after TR4 with final. And Fatal, you're the best, man. You really are. Joshua says to have killed the dragons, they basically have to have done a lot to make the Dance of Dragons happen. I wouldn't doubt that they did, though. I mean, whispering in ears, you deserve this, you deserve that. I'm not saying they were the key component of it, but there's nothing wrong with them guiding people's hands.
And they're so reliable.
That's what I'm kind of.
They have such credibility.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. McKinney, it's when I go on another page. My computer sucks. That's why I have a PayPal account that you can donate. I've had people donate. That's why you see the background you see right now. I upgraded my StreamYard so I can have more than just two of us. So thank you to everyone that has sent in. Mostly, truthfully, Culture Casino, bro. Thank you very much. And that was also Thomas and Ordsboard. Thank you guys for donating. It really helps out. Anyone money that I make right now goes directly back into making this a better product. Ninja vanished. Damn it, he got us. So, do you think they could have had something to do with the Dance with Dragons? You know the history. Well, say yes or no.
Yeah, I think they could have. I mean, I don't put anything past them being involved in major decisions because of their position and because of, I mean, they're advisors. So yeah, I can believe that. And they wouldn't want magic to be in the world because that limits their power, because people will start looking to those with these magical abilities or those with the most dragons or the most, whatever, instead of listening to them.
Right. Well, let's just take Aemon Targaryen. Even though he's maybe not part of this grand conspiracy, his like communications with Rhaegar are one of the reasons why Rhaegar believed he and then one of his children was the prince that was promised.
Right.
So that's to show you how they don't lose their family ties. They're still involved in things they probably shouldn't be involved in. You know what I mean? Like, I always thought of that as a clue, the first clue about the maesters doing things they shouldn't be doing.
But do you think that it's organized, or do you think that the individual maesters are taking advantage of their position and doing this sort of thing?
I think,
are they all working together with a common agenda or independently?
Yes. Not all, but I do believe that they were there before the Targaryens got there.
Mm-hmm.
They were threatened by the Targaryens' rule, and they may have something to do with the Dance of Dragons. I just don't know if I believe it wholeheartedly.
I can believe it. I mean, I guess I would think of them sort of like the Roman Catholic Church and the influence that they had over the kings of Europe.
Right. And that's how I kind of go with the High Septon and the Grand Master or Maesters, the Archmaesters. I feel like they're like two sides of that medieval Catholic Church.
Right.
They speak one way and do something completely different. And that's why she brings up they're not as chaste as you believe them to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're still men. They still have desire. They still have ambition.
Yeah. They're not selfless.
They're not selfless. No. And also it's hard to find out who they are. So another, and some of you guys, someone might've said this in the chat already. Think about what one of the sand snakes is doing. Serana, she's pretending to be a boy to be a maester.
Yeah, Sorella.
Sorella. She's pretending to be a boy to infiltrate for her family, not for the maester. You know what I mean? So like, there's so many little nuggets that tell you that something bigger is going on.
And there's that, you don't know how many of them are there specifically for the power that they get to wield and the influence that they get to wield. You don't know their intentions.
Right.
When they join.
No, that's true. And they might not have a say in where they go, but I'm guessing a larger family, maybe one of the great houses donating money might be able to get people where they need to go, Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say it may, depending on, I mean, look, the people who can have them tend to be the upper echelon of society. So it almost doesn't matter where they go.
Right.
Because they can move that house toward their aims.
They can move, right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yes. So they don't even have to be that sneaky about it. There's probably different factions within the Citadel maneuvering for power. That's what I think we're agreeing on. I don't know if, again, just like the Northern Conspiracy, I think there's different factions all going for maybe with the Northern a common goal, but The maesters are more factioned with their own agendas.
And it would be
And
interesting if you have this fight between the houses happening among those at the Citadel.
Yeah, that'd be pretty dope. Once again, because we have like 19 people in here, thank you so much. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is an awesome stream tonight. Better?
It is an awesome stream.
It is. I'm having fun, Jayne. Let's look at what the chat has to say. Oh, that's support Scott. Sorry. House Hightower, the Citadel, and the Faith. I completely agree. They are a triad in Old Town. And don't forget, and you already know, Joshua, that Old Town was the epicenter of Westeros until the Targaryens came. You know?
Yeah.
So they've been like, okay, so if you don't know the history, so Aegon Targaryen lands with his sister wives. So 2 of his sisters are his wives.
Mm-hmm.
He pretty much declares himself king, sends out letters to everyone. I mean, everyone thinks he was just a conqueror. He actually tried to do it diplomatically at first. There is a story where the High Septon who runs, so he's like the Pope, runs, locks himself away for 7 days, 7 nights, and comes out saying that because the Targaryens, they are above normal men, they are of Valyrian descent and dragon riders, that they're allowed to do that. But the minute he dies, they attack. They go after the heirs of Aegon until Maegor puts it on lockdown and does his, his thing, which Maegor the Cruel got his name for.
Right.
But he died suspiciously too. They found him dead, cut on the Iron Throne. Any 3 of those factions, maybe not the Hightowers as much, but they were in King's Landing around that time. But any 3 of those factions could have murdered him. And there you go and change history.
That's true.
And when he dies, you get Alysanne and Jaharis, and he actually flies his dragon to Old Town and lands it because they were against him until he did that. So a little thumbs up, y'all. Yeah.
Well, a dragon has that kind of power and influence. It can change your mind a little bit.
Right. You could, yeah. When you got a dragon, that's why they wanted to get rid of the dragons. Think about it. Like, you got a dragon, you pretty much have a nuclear bomb strapped between your legs.
Yeah.
Like those things are, and I love how back to the show, how they make Dany look like this cruel murderer when she sets fire to everybody. But yet that's how the Targaryens did it for most of history.
Well, and I don't know, this is, I guess, kind of off topic, but
let's go for it.
She never needed all 3 of them to do it.
Never.
That was the thing they were pushing this whole time is, that for some reason she needed all 3 dragons to conquer that one city. And I'm like, it's a dragon. She could just show up with it.
It's a fighter jet in the time of medieval times, like.
Yeah. Like, why would you put the others at risk when you could literally just take one?
Right. Well, they made it look so easy to hit a dragon,
which was the stupid part, because she then turned right around and used that one dragon to destroy all of the ships.
Right. But the best part is she actually flew towards all of them and then just
directly. Right.
And then went away. And then came back a couple days later, straight down on them after
and when
they
shot
her
the
buddy.
one, they didn't even shoot the one she was riding.
Right. You would have killed her. Okay.
Complete.
Oh, I hate that show so much.
Hate it.
I hated it so much. But what it bothered me too is everyone kept telling her, like, don't use the dragons. You need them to love you. Bah, 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 bah. You know what? They'll learn to fear you first and then they'll love you.
Yeah.
Take those dragons. Conquer the goddamn world.
She never had a history lesson on her own family.
Right. How did Aegon do it? He tried the diplomatic thing and then he went to town on anybody who tried to fight back.
There you go. Simple.
Then you're not in the wrong. I would have burned the Tarleys. I would have burned them too. Fuck them.
You gave fair warning.
Yes, you
They
did.
had a choice.
Yes, you did. He's not here, but Stig Kenobi and I agree. Rarity. Tyrion is a Targaryen and Jaime is probably a Azor Ahai. Okay, so Jaime would not to be Azor Ahai, actually. No, you have a point there. I was about to say he has to be of the Targaryen line, but he doesn't.
He does.
No. The prince that was promised has to be of that Targaryen line. Some people believe Tyrion has that mismatch eye to throw you off. He's the actual son of Tywin, which I think would be more poetic because Tywin always treated him like he wasn't his son.
Right.
And Jaime and Cersei are actually the Mad Kings. And I believe it lines up better with the history of when they were all together. But I might be wrong on that.
I think it would have made more sense, but I don't think any of them are Targaryens, really.
No, most likely not. I could see Jaime being Azor Ahai, though. Because don't forget, look, you have the last hero, you have Azor Ahai, and you have the prince that was promised, and we all just lump them together.
Mhm.
Well, who's to say they're three different people defeating, the others in their own ways? Because Azor Ahai was from Essos. So why wasn't he was most likely fighting him on that side. The last hero was fighting him on this side. And the prince that was promised is somebody completely different. It's like a rebirth. Just saying. I don't know. Does anybody have any other questions, though? Let me know. Tyrion is the Mad King's kid, in my opinion. See, I disagree. I think that's what George kind of wanted you to think.
With the dragon dreams too, and the obsession with dragons and the dragon book and all that stuff.
And the eye. But wouldn't it be more George-esque to make him seem like he may be a Targaryen, but actually make him the son of Tywin, his only natural born son, even though I don't think Jaime is a Targaryen either. But I could say this, if he comes out to be a Targaryen, I wouldn't be super shocked.
Right.
I just don't think he's going to go that route.
He laid the foundation for it. I don't know if it'll happen.
Right. I don't know.
Who knows? He could be a dragon rider.
Could be. I mean, dragon dreams, mostly only Targaryens have those. Now, do you think Jon is definitely Azor Ahai then?
I absolutely do.
I mean, he did have the dream where he's in the black armor, flaming sword.
Then again, I mean, if they're separate people, he may not be.
Right. And is Azor Ahai a good guy or a bad guy?
I think it depends on what the White Walkers are.
Right. Because Azor Ahai put a freaking sword through his wife's heart.
Desperate times, desperate measures.
I mean, that's a sacrifice and a half.
You got to do it.
My wife would kill me.
She would. She would kill you.
Yeah.
She would be Azor Ahai.
That's so good. All right, let's see what I'm really digging Joshua Hoffman's stuff. Does anyone remember how in Dunk and Egg? Yeah, he knows his stuff. Do you do YouTube, Joshua? Does anyone remember how in Dunk and Egg, the old man told Dunk that winters got colder when the last dragon died? What do you make of that? Okay, so I believe that the seasons were still messed up. They still lasted, years, depending on the years they fall, like 7 or 5 or 2 or whatever. But I do believe that there is a magical aspect to the seasons. And George has actually said that in interviews. So I definitely believe anything that has magic to do with it, the dragons are a source of some type of magic. Look at the warlocks, of Karth, said their power got greater once the dragons were born.
Right.
Melisandre's power has gotten greater since the dragons have been born. The White Walkers have probably returned prior to that, but I wonder if their magic will be stronger because their dragons have returned. Because as you know, Stig always says, it's a song of ice and fire. That means a harmony between the two. It means that it's not fighting against, but with a song of ice and fire. So who's to say that their powers are greater, or the dragons were able to be hatched because of them being awake?
That's what I'm thinking.
You know what I mean?
I'm thinking their awakening is what brought the magic back. And also, I don't think these seasons are natural either. I agree. They have to have some sort of magical origin or are being triggered by the things that are happening in the magical world.
Right. And I got to say, that's one of the only scenes I found interesting in the later seasons was where when they created the White Walkers, that area was all grass and beautiful. And when actually what it was, you know, after the White Walkers came, the winter came with them.
Right.
So Westeros is ice, Essos is fire. The only thing I could say is they both have two hinges of the world. You have, and from what Melisandre would say, and I think the hinges of the world are ice would be the wall, fire would be Valeria, and the darkness would be Shy and the lands beyond. And I don't know if there's a opposite to the darkness that would be considered the light. But those are three of like the magical areas that I can think of off the top of my head that are hinges, as Melisandre would put it, of the world.
Well, we still don't know much of what's down in Sotheros or whatever you want to call it, where people can't get to the end for some reason.
Right. That one dragon rider flew like nonstop for like a month and had to turn back.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I know.
I mean,
and I thought they were going to do a prequel or whatever on that. That would have been cool, but nope. I
wish George was younger.
He needs more years.
He needs more years, or he has a lot. I hope he just has a lot of material that someone could scoop up and finally finish some shit.
Outlines.
Because Gary breaks my heart when he keeps saying that he's not going to finish the books, and there's a part of me that knows this, but I don't want to keep hearing it.
I believe it. I believe he will finish. He will finish.
Do you think we'll get the book in 2021?
I don't know, but I'm saying that he's going to finish. He's going to finish both books. I will say that until the day he dies.
I know. I keep wanting to tell myself that he is doing both right now. But the way his blog came out and said, you know, he's doing like a chapter, what is it, like a chapter a week or something like that? Or he's still writing them. I don't know.
Like, I did 3 chapters last week. And I'm like, that's not enough.
Right. Oh, yeah. Okay, so let's look at this one real quick. I think it wasn't an accident that the Freehold stopped short of Westeros and the dragons attacked Hearthome, I think. Before the Doom, they did not want any part of Westeros in Valeria. I wouldn't say that's actually completely true because Dragonstone was there prior. It was like an outpost. And there were dragons in Westeros.
Yeah, there were dragons all over Westeros.
Yeah, there was dragons all over the world, or Planetos. We don't know how they died out. It could have been the White Walkers. It might not have been. It might have been before that, but George said there were. Yeah. Say it again.
Could have been a meteorite. Who knows?
Could have been the moon getting too close to the sun.
Yep.
You know? Lucifer means Lightbringer is a cool station. Check him out. He has a lot of stuff about that type of symbolic stories. But I don't know.
Now we know that the dragons didn't like going beyond the wall. Or that far north.
Alisane's dragon.
Right. So
did not want to even go near the wall, right?
Yeah. So there may be something with that.
Well, it's a magical barrier of some sort, you know,
or maybe they
just been that dragon.
It could have felt
Right.
this thing.
Oh, you're saying maybe felt the White Walkers, or
Yeah, or whatever is behind them, the Great Other or whatever it is.
Oh, I see what you're saying. TT, have you read and this goes to anybody in the chat because I haven't read all of them yet. I actually only read most of book 1, and this was prior to me reading Game of Thrones. Wheel of Time. I think I want to get back into it, but I don't know if it's worth reading because he didn't finish all the books, but somebody else did. So did you read them?
Nope.
Wheel of Time, Jane? No?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Vulcan mind melt.
Different writer.
Yeah. Yeah. Writer. Oh, okay. I thought you thought something a little freaky there. Would Cersei be his stepsister? Maybe. A Dragonstone isn't in Westeros. Remember, I always mess up her name. Rhaenyra tells us that dragons who live on Dragonstone live longer than those in Westeros. Yeah. No. I agree with that. What I'm saying, I think I'm getting weird on my mic again. What I'm saying is way before that, dragons lived in Westeros. George says in ancient times there were dragons, non-Valyrian dragons, but Westerosian dragons. So you should look that up because
Like
I don't know the
dinosaurs.
exact wording. I think they were small or something like that. I don't remember exactly. I do like the idea of like Westeros being ice and Essos being fire, but Essos also has its it's like a great northern desert though, isn't it? Or is it an ice desert? Like past the 5 ports.
I don't know, but it seems like their weather is really screwed up too, based on the landscape. So I don't
Right.
know if I would agree with that analogy.
Right. So yeah. Yeah, the caves, there's caves everywhere. People lived in underground for quite a while, but I was thinking that might have been something with the long night. Not the meteors are something even more ancient than that. And that's some people believe that the reason why the seasons are messed up is because there were 2 moons. One either didn't get too close to the sun, but blew up. Dragons fell from the sky, which would be meteorites.
Mm-hmm.
And you do have craters. Look at the lake where the Isle of Faces is. That looks like a crater. It almost has like the same idea where a crater lands and has that piece that comes up like off center of the middle from the explode. Look up any old craters. There was a guy who did a whole series on that on YouTube. Like I was watching like 2 years ago, and it was really interesting what he was bringing up. So there are some areas, if you look at the map, that could look like a crater.
And then people do have that story of the moon breaking.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So we don't know what that was.
Like ancient man would pass that down as a story prior to writing.
Right.
My husband read all the books, says it's definitely worth reading the ones by the other author. Thank you, Tina. I do have to check that out. Wheel of Time is good, but I stopped when I found out Robert Jordan died. Yeah, way before that's true. My theory is only about the Valyrian being sketched by Westeros. I don't doubt that. I think the Great Empire of the Dawn was in Westeros. I don't know why. I think Valyria didn't conquer enough of Essos to decide the Great Empire of the Dawn.
Yeah.
Do you know about them? Okay, yeah, they were in Westeros.
Were they?
Look at what the 5 forts are made of, and the different black stone. Right. So now you look at the base of the high tower. That's a black stone that's more ancient than the high tower.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't like dragons that made that. It was something of an ancient culture. So some people believe it was the Great Empire of the Dawn that actually ruled all of Planetos at one time.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, Thomas Gilkey, one of my favorite people. Him and Steven had a check out my stream from Saturday night. I'm going to clip that though. And Thomas gave me his okay. Where Thomas was on screen, and Steven shirtless was talking to him. It was very strange.
That was a real thing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You got to watch it. It was really funny. I wonder if the comment from Clash of Kings landed somewhere that we did not know yet. Yeah, you never hear what happens to it. You never hear what happens to it. I just assumed it kept on moving like Haley's Comet or something like that. Good question. Thomas, what did you enjoy? The only thing I think I enjoyed was
season 8?
I can't think of anything.
Let me see. When they were flying in the sky. That was beautiful. That was a beautiful shot.
When they were fighting?
Flying.
Or when they were
on the
flying
dragon,
through like the
when they
mountains
went
and stuff?
above the clouds.
Oh, okay.
in that battle.
Yeah. That was kind of cool.
It was the only thing I could see.
Well, yeah. Well, see, for some reason on my phone, it was good. The one thing I can say is I would have really liked episode 2 if episode 3, 4, 5, 6 didn't suck so bad. Like if episode 2 ended and in episode 3, people just started dropping, I think episode 2 would have been more powerful. But like you only lose, Mormont, and he dies the way he would want to die, protecting his queen.
Right. But other people are swarmed and don't die.
Right. How many times did it look like they were backs against the wall? Sam's
Literally.
Sam is like covered in dead people just crying.
And it wasn't supposed to be funny.
I fucking hate that show so much.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
It was ridiculous.
I don't see anything wrong with people liking it. Like
I do, because I don't understand
loved it. Yeah. Abunas loved it.
It's objectively terrible.
Oh, why you canceling me? Jayne just said that. Let's see what. God bless if you enjoy any part of season 8 besides Brianna being knighted. Yeah, see, homage to Dunk. I get that. Being his descendant, but and I also think Hodor is his descendant, but I just think it would have meant more if she died or Jaime died or fucking
anything logical happening.
Pod, Roderick, or not Roderick,
Podrick.
Who's their squire?
Podrick.
Podrick. I said Roderick, didn't I? Yeah, Podrick. Like kill somebody. We lost the guy to the Night Watch. I don't know. It wasn't for me, but I don't mind that people. I have nothing against.
The little game they played, like why? It was so stupid. It didn't fit.
It didn't fit.
And then like, Bronn just marching in there, threatening people.
I got a sword. And what kills me too is like they just won a massive victory, and like Tormund's like, who's crazy enough to jump on a dragon and ride it? Just Jon Snow. Yet, like, I could understand why Dany's like, hello, they're my dragons.
Right.
I can understand why she picked up her Starbucks and said, I'm out of here. Oh, what a shitty show.
That was so stupid.
Yeah. The Hound versus the Mountain. Okay. I did like when the Hound crushed what's his name's head.
Okay. That was shot well when they were on the staircase and the wall was gone. So you had the lighting, I guess, I don't know, the reddish orangish light.
Yeah. And him taking him over the side into fire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can give you that. That was a cool scene. And when he takes what's his name? The half maester.
That guy.
Yeah. Why am I blanking on his name?
I don't know.
Frankenstein. Yeah, Frankenstein smashed his head in. That was great.
Yeah, that was funny.
Why don't I remember his name? I like the unlikely buddy road trip north of the wall in season 8.
I hated it.
Yeah, I disliked it too.
What was the point?
They're really to get a dead body, a white, and lose half your men.
And then, like, they didn't know the water. They could just freeze the water and walk across it.
I can't.
You're literally, that's what you do.
You're made of ice. Like you couldn't have like excuse me, whites, excuse me. Boop. Okay, go.
Done.
That's
insane.
Oh God. Ice javelin throwing.
Thousands of years, you're telling me they've never run across water. I just don't believe it.
I can understand if it was like salt water. That's a little harder to freeze, right?
It might take a little bit longer.
Because I've always wondered why they didn't just go around the wall. You know what I mean? Like freeze the ice around the wall. I don't know. See, I wasn't into Clegane Bull because we knew they were both dead. No stakes. Now, are you saying that they were both like, yes, the mountain's dead, that they were both going to die, or that you thought they were both actually dead? Because some people think that he died. Both of them were dead and came back.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I do like the way the books go, where he might be the gravedigger. Sandor Clegane. I think that's a really cool idea that the Hound is dead, but Clegane found peace type thing. I don't know. I thought that was cool. Yeah. So I don't mind if he doesn't do Clegane Bull, because I feel like the Hound found peace. What's the reason to bring him back? I don't know. Well, we can't actually defend season 8. Let's keep it real.
We really can't.
Kyburn, thank you.
Kyburn, yeah.
Sporting Spy. I didn't know Starbucks existed back then. It did. Yeah.
It did.
Water bottles too. Yeah, Winterfell. They had their own Starbucks. I hated the trip north of the wall. They really lost their minds writing that. No, that's the problem. They didn't even use their minds. They just wrote it,
I think, like you're saying, that they were going for visual effects.
Yes,
they
very
wanted
much
something
so.
Pretty, basically.
Yeah.
Forget the story.
Like, think about that firing that dead polar bear. That was a dope looking dead polar bear.
Yeah.
But again, why do you have to fucking capture a white to prove anything?
There was already one north of the wall once.
Yeah. Like,
why are you trying to prove anything to Cersei?
That's what I'm saying. For Cersei, like,
kill her and be done with it.
Thank you. I mean,
this is stupid.
Don't forget they died from like so much rubble falling from above them. If they only took like 4 steps to the left, they would have lived.
Like, I mean, what do you do in an earthquake, right? You're supposed to get under the arches in your house.
Yeah. Yeah.
In the doorway.
But I think
they would have been fine.
No, I think it was the opposite in the show. I think all the doorways were the things that fell and everywhere else was clear sailing. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think I remember seeing an archway. I was just like, why don't they just get under that?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But when you see the rocks falling, why don't you move to the left or the right?
Yeah. See, that's what I was talking about too. People think Arya actually did kill Sandor and he was brought back somehow.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Might be the gravedigger. He is definitely the gravedigger. Yeah, I know. Some people don't think it. I do. I think he's definitely the gravedigger. The symbolic of the dog coming up to him, the size covering his face. It's definitely him. Yeah, he died when she left him. Where else would Steven get his enemas? You know what? That's a very good question. I am getting coffee things for my streams when Steven's on. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna start wrapping it up though. We're at the 2-hour mark almost, and that's what we were kind of just hoping for. Oh, Culture Casino again.
Hey, Culture.
Thank you, Culture Casino, for my StreamYards, donating to the link below. Support the channel by donating to my PayPal account. All the money right now will go back into making this a better product and giving me more time to research and not working 24/7. Okay, people? Sorry, I can't do this full time and amuse you. Can you let them know where they can find you? You got any last words first off?
Well, season 8 sucks. That's my last word.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me here on YouTube at Jayne Theory, where I post weekly movie and television reviews every Sunday at 6 Central. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at Jayne Theory.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Jayne. I really appreciate you here all the time. It's awesome.
It's fun.
Hopefully Stig's okay. I haven't heard from him. And Christy, I hope everything's all right, but most likely they'll be back next week. And hopefully we might have the president on next week. He doesn't know that yet, but Abu Nas might be on next week with us. He has not read the books, but the man knows the history as good as anybody.
Incredibly well.
Incredibly well. He just might not know some of the nuances, but he knows it like a textbook. It's pretty impressive. But thank you guys. Thank you for everybody. Please like, share, subscribe. Where are we at right now? 31. If we can get it to 40, I'd be really happy. Hope everyone has a great day. Be safe. Be good to each other. See us on Wednesday night at 7:15 for our book club series. We are in Game of Thrones chapter, I believe, 34 through 38. So come along for the journey, everyone. Thank you.
See ya.
See ya. Thanks, Jayne.
Thank you.